Okay, interesting story in the West today by Nick Butterley, who says that one prominent West Australian unionist has been banned from the office of the Premier. He's talking about Christy Cain from the MUA. Christy, good morning.
Good morning, Gareth. Good morning, listeners.
Why are you banned from the Premier's office?
I'm not too sure. I only found that out. Someone had gone to, obviously, Nick Butterley, and then I get a phone call saying I'm banned from meeting the Premier or his office. So I'm not too sure why. It may be because I've been outspoken, and rightly so, on a number of issues inside the ALP.
So, how often would you meet with the Premier ordinarily?
Well, put it this way, I don't pay to meet him, and very rarely I meet him anyway, you know. I'm not from the big end of town, I'm afraid, Gareth. So,
well, but you blokes donate to the Labor Party, so...
Yeah, of course. But look, taking any type of emotion out of this...
Sure. What's this about? What's this about? What have you done to upset him?
I don't know, you'd have to ask him that. I think I have actually engaged in the Labour Party to stand up for trade unionists and the trade union movement, and in this issue with BHP particularly, and with the fracking, there was a view from the ALP quite clearly and voted on unanimously bar two that fracking wouldn't be allowed in WA, and also you've seen Bill Shorten come out quite clearly and condemn BHP for getting rid of 80 Australian seafaring jobs that don't leave this coast and that have worked continuously for 17 years, Gareth. 17 years and with not one dispute. And Mark McGowan has been hiding under a rock somewhere and said nothing.
Well, he's in Japan at the moment, Japan and South Korea at the moment. I know that much. But to the fracking issue, because we spoke about this last year on the program, and you made the point, and you're correct, that the Labor Party, the ordinary members of the Labor Party and the union movement are opposed to fracking. The Parliamentary Party has come up with a different position, limited fracking. Do you think that your criticism of the Premier over that is one of the things that's led to him shutting you out of meeting with him?
Certainly. I actually do think that. But look, we're not in the Labour Party to just pander to parliamentarians. We're in there. It is business for us, and it's union business. The ALP was born, as you know, out of the trade union movement, and we've got no apologies to make to anyone for having a debate inside the Labour Party about where my union sits and where the trade union actually sits. There is a platform that I believe, regardless if you win a debate or lose it, that is the platform going forward for the next 4 years, and it should be adhered to. So,
do you think that Mark McGowan pays enough attention to the union movement?
Not at all. Not at all. He would. I've said it quite clearly. He should take a leaf out of Daniel Andrews' book. I've seen Daniel Andrews. I've been to Melbourne on numerous occasions, and I've seen him marching down the streets with the trade union movement with 140,000 workers in respect to changes to regulation and the laws across Victoria. I haven't seen Mark McGowan once do anything.
So you don't think he's pro-union enough? You'd rather he be more like the Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews. What about Bill Shorten?
Bill Shorten's a good bloke. My view, he's there, he's well balanced, a good leader. He wasn't scared to come out against BHP in respect to the 80 jobs that has been taken off Australians in the shipping industry a couple of weeks ago. This is BHP that's made millions and millions and billions of dollars, and as far as we're concerned, have a right and should support Australian jobs on Australian wages and Australian negotiated conditions.
Speaking of BHP, I've done a fair bit of work on them this week, as you probably know. The issue with their with their royalties, that the government say that they're not paying enough. How do you regard that?
I think Mark McGowan's right. I think the government is right. I think the big end of town like BHP, Woodside, Shell, a lot of them Not paying enough taxes in this country, not contributing to the royalties that can build hospitals, roads, schools, all for West Australians, and yet they take our commodities, our resources, and what's ludicrous about all this is, we send iron ore over to Port Kembla, to Blue Scope Steel, owned by BHP. They get rid of Australian jobs and want to bring back exploited foreign labour on $4 an hour. Now, this is a company that has made billions and billions and billions out of West Australian products, and it's an absolute disgrace.
Christy, I want to bring you back to Mark McGowan. You said Bill Shorten's a good bloke. How would you describe Mark McGowan? Probably average, mate. I've had me discussions with him. He's no friend of mine, I don't think, personally. I don't think I'm on his Christmas list. But it doesn't bother me whatsoever. My members are in the ALP. We have joined. We are a part of the ALP. We are part of a democratic process. And we'll continue to join the ALP and support Bill Shorten and obviously Mark McGowan's government to get elected next time. But it doesn't stop us debating issues around where we think the platform is and where I've got to say, the state conference voted on it, the state executives voted on it, the state admins voted on it, and it's policy of the ALP in respect to Australian jobs and in respect to fracking. So we got no apologies to make. In fact, they should make apologies to us. You said that Mark McGowan, the Premier, doesn't pay enough attention to the unions. What about the left-wing unions like United Voice?
Oh, well, I'm not too sure what he's doing with them. I'm not in the room, and that's their business to talk about what they consider Mark McGowan is. I'm in the ALP, not just about left, right, left wing, right wing, middle wing, chicken wing. I'm not bothered about any of that. I'm in the ALP for a voice for my union, and obviously I'll speak up for trade unions if they're having a debate around their issues, and that's why I'm in the ALP. I don't hold myself. I really don't consider myself. I don't go to barbecues or lunches with them, and I'm not too interested in that. I'm more interested in my union and standing up for workers. If McGowan doesn't pay more attention to the issues you think are important, will you consider withholding fundraising? No, look. The issue is, people get in the press and they make big things out of little things. The first I'd heard of it, he said he's banned me. Now, what does that mean? I'll take your bat and ball and you can't play anymore. I'm in the ALP. I'm a leader of a union in the ALP. I will continue to fight for workers' rights inside the ALP. And if it comes out where Mark McGowan doesn't like me for that, too bad for him. He's got to grow up. Christy, thank you. Thanks very much. Christy Cain, Secretary of the MUA, or I always say that, but they're sort of rolled into the CFMEU now. He's the Maritime Division of the CFMMEU. They merged, you'd remember, the Construction, Mining, Forestry and Energy Union merged with the MUA, so now it's a super mega duper union. It's interesting, isn't it? Who runs the government? Who should run the government? Who is entitled to have a say at the table about how Labor governments run? Christy Cain says, well, the Labor Party is a product of the union movement. And that's true. How much influence should they wield in the decisions made around how the state is run? I'd be interested to know what you make of that. 922 118 882. My suspicion, Mark McGowan wouldn't mind having a public blue with Christy Cain at all. I think he quite likes the idea that perhaps some voters perceive him as having a blue with Christy Cain because it means he doesn't look beholden to them. But is he really? I don't know. What do you think?